As if we needed a real doctor to tell us that the protests against coronavirus social distancing were a bad idea. We now are hearing from top infectious disease doctor Anthony Fauci, who is saying in clear terms, these protests will backfire. These protests will slow down the economic recovery. Now, the answer, the response is, of course, obviously, but I'm sure that hearing it from a doctor will make the protesters take heed and understand the importance, right? Wrong. Protesters over the weekend were actually caught on video chanting "Fire Fauci." I played that video for you yesterday. Let's look at yesterday's Good Morning America on ABC. Here is Dr. Fauci saying it himself.
And finally, sir, we're seeing these protests crop up all across the country right now, including those protests in Texas and other places where they're saying fire Anthony Fauci. Fauci is wrong. They're resisting these stay-at-home orders from governors. What's your message back to those protesters?
Yeah. I mean, I think, the message is that clearly this is something that is hurting from the standpoint of economics, from the standpoint of things that have nothing to do with the virus. But unless we get the virus under control, the real recovery economically is not going to happen. So what you do if you jump the gun and go into a situation where you have a big spike, you're going to set yourself back. So as painful as it is to go by the careful guidelines of gradually phasing into a reopening, it's going to backfire. That's the problem.
Unless we get the virus under control, none of this matters. By reopening now, you will get some short-term economic benefit. There will be nominally businesses that go back online and start earning some revenue and start paying some taxes. Okay, but over the long term, the economics are going to be worse from reopening the way that these protesters want us to reopen right now. It's genuinely and truly sad that this is simply another political disagreement. It's just another political football to throw back and forth. The science is clear. The medical world is clear. Any premature opening is going to lead to a spike in cases. And in the long run, it will cost us dearly. Maybe we get 3 to 4 weeks of so-called economic productivity. But it's like the experiments about, I don't remember who did these, but there's these experiments with 5-year-olds where you go in and you put a cookie in front of them and you say, I'm going to leave the room. If you wait 10 minutes, you'll get a second cookie. And some of the little kids are more patient and they wait and they get that second cookie. And a lot of people can't and they just eat the cookie anyway. Tons of people are stuck on the idea of opening now without realizing that if we do this difficult thing, we can hopefully open permanently a little further down the road instead of opening now and then having to close again and then opening and closing endlessly until we have a treatment and a vaccine. So, of course, Dr. Anthony Fauci is correct, but understand that once again, it's Fauci and science on one side and Trump and these sycophants on the other side. And we're supposed to believe everything is just fine and there's no obvious conflict there, except that Trump recognizes things are so bad that he has to suspend immigration altogether to the United States. Fauci says do not open and do not protest, while Donald Trump said over the weekend, liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia, and save your great Second Amendment. It is under siege. And remember that Trump also said over the weekend, the protesters are the ones being treated roughly and that they are protesting in a responsible manner.
Well, I think we do have a sobering guidance, but I think some things are too tough. And if you look at some of the states you just mentioned, it's too tough, not only relative to this, but what they've done in Virginia with respect to the Second Amendment is just a horrible thing. They did a horrible thing, the governor. And he's a governor under a cloud to start off with. So when you see what he said about the Second Amendment, when you see what other states have done, no, I think I feel very comfortable. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to be clear, when you talk about these states, Michigan, Minnesota, Virginia, do you think that they should lift their stay-at-home orders, or can you talk
No, but I think elements of what they've done are too much. I mean, it's just too much. You know the elements because I've already said.
Sir, are you concerned, though, that people coming out in protest are going to spread COVID to other people? They're congregating in ways that health experts have said they should not.
No, these are people expressing their views. I see where they are, and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me. But it's, they've been treated a little bit rough.
This is a direct contradiction. I know who I trust on it, but there are Trumpists who want Dr. Fauci fired for trying to keep America safe. You need only look at history to know what the right path is. Look at studies of the economic impact of the 1918 flu. In the United States, we have found that the cities that implemented the early measures and kept them suffered no adverse economic effects over the medium term. The short term was bad, no doubt. But the states that opened earlier, the places that opened earlier in the 1918 flu pandemic, did better in the short term, but much worse in the medium to long term. You've got to grin and bear it in the short term. You will do better in the long term. We can't miss the forest for the trees here. And sadly, the president of the United States is actually encouraging these protesters to do that. Dr. Fauci is clear. The science is clear. I don't know that we're going to actually end up on the right side of this one. We'll have continued coverage of this and other stories from today on the David Pakman Show Instagram page. If you are on Instagram, and I am, go to David Pakman Show. That is our Instagram account. While you're there, follow me at david.pakman. My urban garden soil has arrived. I am planting. I will be documenting all of it on my Instagram at david.pakman. Privacy.com is one of our sponsors, and they're giving you $5 just for using their free service at privacy.com/Pakman. Privacy is a service I've been using for a while now. I love it. It saves me a bunch of headaches. It's completely free, and it's very quick to set up. And here's how it works. When you pay for something online or over the phone, instead of exposing your real credit card number, Privacy lets you generate virtual card numbers. The payments are withdrawn from your checking account, but your real card number stays completely private, and you do it all with one click. You can autofill the card number in your web browser, on the phone. You can create 12 virtual cards a month. You can set spending limits, freeze them, delete them whenever you want. I especially love it for free trials where you need to give a credit card number, because I can destroy the virtual card number as soon as I give it to the company, and I know I won't be charged in the future. If you're ordering food over the phone, why do I need to give a restaurant my real card number if I don't have to? Companies don't have to know who you are. Your real credit card number is protected from the data breaches that happen, unfortunately, more often than we would like, and it's completely free. They do have a paid version with different tiers where you can create more virtual credit card numbers per month, cashback rewards, extra security features. But go ahead and sign up for the free service. It's a no-brainer. Companies can't charge you unexpectedly. You're protected from identity theft. It costs you nothing. And Privacy is giving you $5 to spend just for signing up when you go to privacy.com/Pakman.